This is about the new gazetted regulations on fats, oils, and food containing fats and oil regulation. And also it is about the prepackaged food labeling regulation 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I welcome you to this all-important press briefing on the recently gazetted reviewed fats, oils, and food containing fat and oil regulation 2022 and the prepackaged food labeling regulations of 2022. The emergence of these two review regulations implies that the 2005 versions of these two regulations stand as repealed regulations without jeopardy from whatever was purportedly done in the spirit of the old versions. The World Health Organization statistics indicate that non-communicable diseases, NCDs, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung disease are collectively responsible for 74% of all deaths worldwide. In real terms, more than 36 million people die annually from non-communicable diseases. Among these diseases are cardiovascular diseases, and they are the #1 cause of death, accounting for 17.5 million deaths annually. This is global, not Nigeria. In this category, high blood pressure leads as a risk factor. Cardiovascular diseases are disorders of the heart and blood vessels, and they include coronary heart disease, cerebrovascular disease, rheumatic heart disease, among other conditions. Non-communicable diseases, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung diseases, are collectively responsible, like I said before, for 74% of all deaths globally. Non-communicable diseases are estimated to account for about a quarter of total death in Nigeria. The probability of dying between 30 and 70 years from the non-communicable diseases is 20%. At the 2018 World Health Assembly in Geneva, the WHO called on all countries to eliminate industrially produced trans fats. Trans fatty acids are from global food supplies. At the 2018 World Health Assembly in Geneva, the WHO called on all countries to eliminate industrially produced trans fatty acids from global food supplies. The agency released an action package called Replace that includes policy recommendations and interventions for governments to use. That is the WHO. Released an action package called Replace, R-E-P-L-A-C-E. WHO has recommended one of these two policy pathways for the implementation. First is the banning of the use of partially hydrogenated oils, that is the source of industrially produced TFAs, or trans fatty acids, in all foods. And secondly, to set limits on the amount of industrially produced trans fatty acids to be not more than 2%. The second policy pathway is setting limits on the amount of industrially produced trans fatty acids to be not more than 2% of total fat content in all foods. NAFDAC, with cooperation, collaboration, and support of the Federal Ministry of Health, Federal Ministry of Justice, and Trans Fat Coalition partners in Nigeria, have worked assiduously towards achieving these two-pronged pathways. The coalition partners include, but not limited to, Global Health Advocacy Incubator, GHAI, Network for Health Equity and Development, NHED, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation in Africa, CAPA. I'm delighted to announce the following: that in Nigeria, we are already working with the industry and our partners to find alternative source to the existing partially hydrogenated oils that are the source of trans fatty acids in our foods. Most importantly, we have reviewed the fat and oils regulation, and we have a newly gazetted regulation known as Fat, Oils and Food, containing Fat and Oils Regulation 2022. This regulation has addressed the second pathway for the elimination of industrially made trans fatty acids, with the limit of not more than 2% in all foods. In addition, the prepackaged food labeling Regulation 2005 has also been reviewed to take place of the labeling requirements for trans fat acids. Hence, we now have a reviewed and gazetted pre-packaged food labeling regulations. Where are the gazettes? It's in-house. If it is not gazetted, it's not recognized. So we are celebrating this occasion because it is now gazetted, meaning it's going to be part and parcel of the regulatory system and of our lives as Nigerians in terms of what consumers should expect on their label and in their food. Finally, the arrangement of fats, oils, and food containing fats and oil regulation 2022 includes scope of application, source of edible fats and oils, vitamin A fortification, additives, impurities, labeling of fat and oil products, labeling limits and claims of trans fat acid and cholesterol, classification, definition, and specifications, prohibition, offenses and penalties, forfeiture after conviction, and revocation. It also includes interpretation, citation, and schedule. This is just the table of contents in the Gazette. NAFDAC is poised to fully implement and utilize the regulations to protect the health of the public. Why is this so important, and why is NAFDAC doing what NAFDAC is doing? Because NAFDAC is part of a global regulatory bodies in the world. Many advanced countries started with one type of regulation, and because of health concerns, they changed to a better regulation. So it is not like NAFDAC is doing something that everybody has done at one time or the other in the past. It is that all regulatory agencies improve based on science. They improve on existing regulations. The first one was 2005. The second one now is 2022. So when you look at the old one, the inclusion of the content in the food was not mandatory. It was voluntary. Where nutrient declaration is applied, the following can be mandatory: energy, value, protein, and so on. But now you've got to state it. So it's going from not mandatory little information to more information. Meaning you go to ShopRite in about a year's time, because it will take a while for what is already being manufactured to be sold. You will see more information. You can now see what is the content of saturated fats, what is the content of non-saturated fats. Because of what? Because the food we eat can kill us. The food we eat can kill us. If you eat too much saturated fat, it can start blocking the lining of the vessels, of blood vessels. And once that lining starts decreasing, getting narrowed, the space rather, start getting narrowed, then blood pressure. And with that, sometimes with diabetes and so on, cardiovascular diseases will start showing up. So what NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation by now having a labeling that an informed consumer can really understand and check and see. When I was in the US, there were some additives that were not on the label, but FDA also, like what we are doing, review their regulations and make it mandatory. You've got to put everything on the label. So you see me go to the store, I will start reading and reading, because what we eat can kill us. What we eat can kill us and make us to be more dependent on medicines. If you eat well, if you eat right, the level of use of medicine will decrease. Take it from me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take samples, go around, take samples of food and test how much of saturated fats, unsaturated fats are there. That is part of what we are supposed to be doing to drive our regulations and to make sure that the clients are being compliant. So research is going to follow this, because it's a new thing, and of course it will take time for what is already on the market to be sold. But at a point we're going to start sampling food. We have laboratories that can easily handle that. I want to also talk a little bit about our health in general. It has been said that NAFDAC's drugs cause kidney diseases and so on, and that the drugs or whatever is the result of bad drugs is the result of kidney diseases. I did a little bit of search, and among high-income countries, Saudi Arabia and Belgium have the highest estimated kidney diseases prevalence. 24% in Saudi Arabia, Poland 18%, Germany 17%, Singapore 16%. United States estimated prevalence is 14%. Like 1 in 15 people in the US have kidney disease, and there is no NAFDAC there. In Nigeria, more than 20 million people are living with kidney disease. That is 1 out of 11. Our rate is about 9-point-something%. There is no NAFDAC in Saudi Arabia, no NAFDAC in Poland. They have highest. Some of these countries have the highest. So when people tout information that they don't even have a basis for, it boggles my mind. In Ghana, it's 13.3%. Nigeria is about 9-point-something%. You can Google this. There is nobody that is living in darkness unless somebody who wants to live in that, stay in darkness. You can Google it. What we are doing in Nigeria is to reduce that level from 9-point-something% to less than that. Food that we eat can contribute to kidney disease. Drugs can contribute, but it is not because of drugs or food that NAFDAC regulates. We cannot go to somebody's house and say you're going to put 1 teaspoon of oil. Even after these regulations, some people still think unless the oil simmers on the soup, it's not good. No, it doesn't have to simmer on the soup. I was at a hotel and they served soup. I sent the picture, I took the picture, I sent it to the director. The oil level, you can see, is about 1/3 of the whole soup. The oil level is about 1/3. Are we going to go to the kitchen to say, this is how much you should use? We're going to do sensitization, which is what has been said. Without sensitization, we will continue to do things we think are healthy, but they are not healthy. We also have stakeholders engagement. We started this last year to sensitize our stakeholders, but we're going to have stakeholders for restaurant owners because they also have to be sensitized. It is not deliberate. Many of the things that we do, especially with food, we just think, oh, if it doesn't look like this or taste like this, it's not going to work. So it's going to be this Friday. So we have stakeholders engagement this Friday. So to answer my young brother there that was asking about fast food, and the issue of trans fat will be discussed. It is just educating ourselves. When I'm making food, you think I want to kill that chicken twice because I will make sure there is no fat there. Yes, because it is all those things that the habits that we do at home or that we have contribute to our health outcome. But we need to keep telling ourselves that food can make you healthy, food can make you not healthy, more dependent on medicine. We don't want us to be dependent on medicine. Of course, people can still use medicine when they are ill, but it shouldn't be because of food that they can easily control in terms of the intake and the content. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's applaud the
we worry about regarding trans fatty acids. And so what this regulation has done is that it has put in place prohibition. So we have said that it's prohibited to have more than 2 grams per 100 grams of trans fats in any food containing fats and oil and in fats and oils themselves. And so with fast foods, the same is going to apply because they use the oils, isn't it? And if the oils already are meeting those requirements, those limits that have been put in place, then it cuts across, right? So what they have to use, what is available, will be the oils and fats that have met those requirements of the limits that have been set in the fats and oils and foods containing fats and oils regulations.